Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the architecture of Cyberpunk 2077. Today we're gonna take a walk around Japantown. So Japantown is a big district. Japantown is that big, and not only is it like large geographically, there's also a lot of tall buildings, right? And it's complex. So whereas Corporate Plaza, there's a few very large buildings. Here, there's a lot of buildings, so it's complex. It's big, so it might be a long video. We're gonna walk up and down the southern half, and then we'll walk west to east along the northern half. That's the plan. Japantown, from a distance, looks like that. Well, at least the southern side, you can see it's very much has a corporal presence. To the southeast of Japantown is Charter Hill. Charter Hill is a residential district for rich corporal employees. So this side is very corporal. It connects over to the city center via those bridges back there, right? And it connects over to Charter Hill with those bridges. Japantown, from the outside, it looks kind of normal, to be honest. It's a little dense, but it looks like a normal city. It looks like, you know, there's a lot of skyscrapers, bright, shining. Everything looks great, except that when we get inside, we find out that not everything is as bright and hopeful as it looks on the outside. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get over there, right? So walking along the southeastern edge of the district, as soon as we cross the bridge. So here already, look at this. The buildings lean back, isn't that amazing? In the city of Night City, a lot of buildings lean forward and overhang the streets, right? I mean, you have that giant bridge over there, behind there. But here, the buildings lean back. Isn't that interesting? It seems like a normal city, where the buildings are not aggressively trying to loom over you all the time. Like, this is the most normal looking part of Night City, you might say. Right, look at that, right? Seems like a normal city. Maybe try and get across without getting run over. And if we look at that, yeah, no, not much to say. It looks like ordinary buildings. Nothing crazy going on. As we said, there's the pedestrian bridges linking Charter Hill with Japantown for rich people who don't want to walk on the streets. What's down here, actually? A bit of an industrial site. Let's not worry too much about that. What is this industrial site actually? Is it a construction site? It might just be a construction site. Although that goes all the way up to the base of these buildings. Oh, it's a car park. Oh, I see. So there's a car park, I guess, for these buildings. Maybe. Anyway, let's get back out of here. Alright, coming out. As we step back away from the river, the buildings become more colorful. So over that way, there's a city center, right, in that direction. And so the black metal and glass buildings really dominate over there because that's where the corporals are. But once we get past that, we get like really very brightly colored buildings in that bright red. Those look like luxury apartments. Could be a hotel. And yeah, no, everything looks bright and optimistic, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Looks like an attractive place to be. So Japantown, according to the story of the game, Japantown is like the entertainment district. Apparently there's good nightlife. Although there's also a lot of businesses too. So just like a lively... relatively affluent part of the city, right? And of course there's a lot of bridges, because as always in Night City, there's a lot of layering and horizontal things. But again, like, not a lot of buildings looming over you. Although there are some bridging elements. But it doesn't look oppressive, right? Charter Hill is that way. Charter Hill is mostly residential. Expensive residential. And then there's this. I guess there's a giant building there straddling the street. But we have talked about earlier how at the boundaries of the districts there's usually things to block you from looking through, to give you a visual separation between the different parts of the different districts of the city. So here, a lot of bright colors. This looks like a fun place to be, doesn't it? Looks like a lot of good parties going on. There is a club that we can go into. It is an interior related to the story a little bit. So coming in here, believe it or not, so there's no signage except this, dark matter. There is a bit of a logo there, but it's very subtle. Right, coming in here. Dark matter is a club. I am not 100% sure if it's supposed to be a strip club. I mean, maybe sometimes it's a strip club. Dark matter looks like that. I mean, there are women wriggling about on the stage. So out of the elevator and you step down. We have some tables. We have some seating. The bar is behind the stage.
Such a bore. But I can. Oh, yeah, we'll be in touch then.
And oh, what's going on, bro? So the stage looks like that. It's very pink. And then more seating there. More seating around here. A great view. Look at that. This is looking out onto Arroyo, so this is the industrial district. Unfortunately, it's not very aesthetically pleasing, the industrial district. Well, that's the industrial district there. Down there is Charter Hill. Right, and that's more or less dark matter. There's more balcony back here, but that doesn't really go anywhere. I might as well show you. It's just a dead end, but maybe, you know, you want to make out, come back here, find somewhere private, make out. Alright, what can we say about this bar? This bar has a sort of a, the decor suggests a cave, I think. You have like this thing looming above you, the feature lights above the stage. Around the sides you have these things, they look a little like stalactites. So I think the it's like an abstract cave where, you know, it's kind of like a hidden away, a part of the city that's hidden away and where naughty things happen, I suppose. You notice the stage is very brightly lit. Look at that, there's a lot of lights here. So you can clearly see what's going on the stage. Fairly subtle. I think it's supposed to be a classy strip club. Okay, let's come back here. There is another area. If we continue going up. Yeah, so I think it's like a strip club for rich people. Up here we have a terrace, and this is just a bar, I believe. There is a bar there, and then we have seating, and look at these patterns. Look at this pattern on the ground. Wow. Shiny floors. The pattern continues on the walls. Is that gold, or is it just gold-colored metal? Who knows? Plants. Seats. Look at the textures. Ooh, look at the texture. Is that timber? Is that stone or timber? What's going on there? Hold on, what is going on there? It's timber behind and stone in front, I believe. How does it even work? Very interesting. Feature panels. Bright gold. Gold and black. Right? And then if we come out here, there's fish under the floor. There's a glass floor and there's fish underneath. Very interesting. And of course, great view, right? There's a royal down there. Very cool. And the seats are also gold. I mean, I don't know at what point does this become tacky, right? Like, at what point does it become a little bit too much? The seats are also gold, and then we have a balcony with a glass floor. If you're not afraid of heights. And because we're so high up and we're in the open air, it's gonna be cold, right? So they kindly provide you with fires inside a glass box to keep you warm. Wow, very fancy. So instead of just putting you indoors, they put you outdoors and then they have to provide heating. Not practical, but very fancy. This is how rich people party, apparently. How rich people party in Night City. Out there, those hills, that's North Oak back there. Rich people live there as well. Alright, so that's dark matter. What is this? Oh, these are wooden lattices. Very fancy. Wow. And as we said, the gold seats. Alright, cool. And it's just a bar, right? It's just bar and then everything else is seating. But it's very fancy seating. Look at that. Look at those wooden flooring. Although I'm not sure about this gap. There's wooden flooring, but there's a little gap between the planks. And you know stuff's gonna fall in there, right? Like bits of food, coins, like all sorts of things that's gonna fall into those little gaps. So I don't think that's very good in terms of maintenance, having little gaps in the floor like that. Probably a bad idea, like, you know, bottle caps. You open your beer, you drop the cap, and oh, there it goes, into the little gap. Again, not sensible, but very cool. Alright, that's dark matter. And I think this is about as fancy as we're gonna see in the whole game, right? Just trying to think. Yeah, no, this is about as fancy. Like, this is how rich people live. And we don't get that many opportunities to see it in this architecture tour because we're stuck on the street most of the time. But here's a glimpse of it. Alright, let's get out of here. One last look. It's interesting the vaguely cave-themed decor because we're on a skyscraper. So we are above the ground, we're definitely not in the cave. But you know, like you come out of the elevator and you go down into this pit where things are happening on stage, you know what I mean? Right, like the idea that you're going down into somewhere secret and slightly inappropriate. It's a strip club after all. Alright, back on the street. So that's one part of Japantown, right? Entertainment for really rich people. Let us continue to follow the edge of the district. And then we get to here. And we start to see maybe not everybody in Japantown is rich. Because there's also this stuff, look at that. What are those? So there are some like older apartments underneath the giant towers, look at that. Can I like step back further? Right, there's the bright shiny tower up there, and then underneath it, oh, there's poorer buildings. Wait a minute, look at that. And then like underneath that, there's this stuff. We're trying to get one over.
If you suspect any rogue AI activity,
Right, so these are like poorer apartments, poorer tenements down here, down there, and down there as well. And then if we go underneath that, there's piles of rubbish. Down here there's like a rubbish dump right underneath. And then this is the actual ground. Look at that, the grass is there, the trees are there. So this is where the ground actually is. The road itself is raised up, and then the bottom, the street level, is raised up above the natural ground. So there's a natural ground, it raises up, and then the poor people live there, and then the rich people live there. Look at that. How interesting. So this is the back of Japantown. So the front of it, you didn't see any of this. The front of it, everything looks shiny and new and colorful and beautiful. But now that we come around the back, we realize, wait a minute, the rich people are straddling on top of the poor people. And then there's piles of rubbish in the ground. So this is the reality of Japantown when you get around the back. So, you know, very much in the same style as Little China and the Glen. Remember how you have couples building on top of older buildings and just straddling over ordinary people down below? Although here, if you look at it, I don't know if you can tell just by looking at it, the buildings are more tightly integrated, right? So whereas in Japantown and in the Glen, the big towers above, there'll usually be like a gap and then the smaller buildings below. So it's like they're two separate things. You have old houses, old blocks, and then the new mega towers going across the top. And you can tell they're two separate things. But here in Japantown, they don't look like two separate things. It looks like everything is tightly fitting together. So the way I read this is that this has been going on for so long that it's complete, right? Whereas before, it seems like the corporate takeover is in process, right? In progress, because it's not. They haven't completely closed off the sky, and they haven't completely sat on top of them. So it still feels like they're coming in. But here, they're not moving. Like the big towers above sit snugly onto the buildings below, and so everything is done. It's finished, right? They've sat down, and so it looks like this district is more finished than the other ones. You know, when you're fully sitting on it, there's nowhere else to move, right? There's no gaps left. Does that make sense? Am I crazy? Like, as long as there are gaps, you feel like something else might happen in the gap. But here there are no gaps, so there's nothing else can happen, right? This is it. This is the final form. And as we get closer to this stuff, what is this? Not too sure what that is. I think it's apartments, but it might not be. But there's the vaguely, like, there's a little bits of traditional Japanese architecture here as well. The eaves, the timber, and then the eaves. So these are old, right? Or they look old. It looks like there were older buildings here, and then the new stuff kind of just sat on top of it. And they're all under the roads. Right, the roads serve the buildings above, and then they bury the older parts of the city into an underground undercity. As we get to the back of the district, the stuff out here is very hostile to pedestrians. In fact, the pedestrian path doesn't continue that way, it just stops. We will go as far as we can before we turn back into the city. But there's a big roundabout there, and there's no way for pedestrians to get across. And even here, there's no crossing. But I'm gonna run across anyway. Alright, let me just shimmy across here. Maybe hop across here. Come down here. Not sure why there's a crane just sitting there in the middle of the road. Alright, look at this. So if we just kind of block out the top half of this, this looks like an apartment district, right? Low-income apartments, maybe? If you just look down here, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it's like a residential part of the city. But then there's actually all that above it. So this looks like a part of the city, but there's another half of it sitting above, and that's just a completely different thing. Much more expensive looking than the stuff down here. Wild. What is that thing up there? Was it a train? That was a train, right? Yeah, so there's like layers. Layers on layers. Back here, there's a lot of rubbish. Clearly things are not going well. Like, there used to be shops here, but there, what is it? Is it bricked up? Are these meant to be shops? Obviously they're not shops now. So the path stops there. I'm just thinking, can we get into these buildings or no? Alright, not from there. The path stops here. This is like the back area. But those are houses, right? Those are apartments. People live there, right? The air conditioning is on. Coming down here, it says hotel. Not sure how much we believe it. Look at that, there's a whole lot of pipes. So this is like the back alleys. The alleys in the back of Japantown. It's a whole mess of smaller buildings underneath the giant towers. And there's a little bit of a market here, right? Was it a laundry? Vending machines, and then the locals have set up a gym here, apparently. So people live here. Continuing down, there is a gate here, which is interesting. And then we come back down to the street level. So those characters, I haven't explained this. That says unequaled under the sky. So the first two characters is under the sky. That means in the world. And then the second two characters is unequaled. So basically like number one. It's a fancy way of saying the best in the world, right? And this is one of the slogans of the Tyger Claws clan. In fact, if we look at this, look at that. That says, well, that says Tyger Claws. Above it, that says, violent angel? Or is it like a... I'm trying to think of a good translation. I would... It's like somebody... unconstrained. Rampage. Rampaging angel, I think is how you translate that. Upper class, rampaging angel, Tyger Claws, Night City. Parkour? Is that what that says? I'm not sure if that's a... Anyway, these guys think they're ninjas or something, and they've set up a little shrine here. So this is Tyger Claw territory, I think is what it means. Back here, I think the gangs are in control. I mean, there's Tyger Claw tags all over the walls. So the Tyger Claws, I've talked about it before, it's a Japanese gang with Chinese members. And they secretly work for Arasaka. Oh, there's another thing too. As we walk through Japantown, you don't see any Arasaka logos. So it's not obviously Arasaka territory, but Arasaka is. Like, Japan belongs to Arasaka, right? And so the Tyger Claws run this place, and then there's a whole lot of independent businesses. But when push comes to shove, they'll all side with Arasaka, obviously, because this is Japantown. So it's kind of Arasaka, but not obviously, right? And we have fancy Japanese trees. Alright, let's get back down to street level. And now we are really inside Japantown, around the back as well. It's very dense. And there's a lot of bridges connecting all the buildings above. The buildings go really high. And there you go. And it's not great either. There's the condition of the street, a lot of rubbish down here. And this is Japantown, except it's not, because there's more Japantown if we go down. So be careful, don't just look around you, also look down. Alright, we call the elevator. And we'll go down the elevator. At this level, underneath the road, there's more streets. And then there's houses underneath the road. There's an old house. This is an old house. This is like a traditional Japanese suburban house. There's an old Japanese house underneath the road. And then further along, and there's that too, right? Can I squeeze in there or no? Can I? No, I can't squeeze in there. So there's like surface areas down there. Oops. And then here we have apartments underneath the road. So down here there's a whole undercity. Isn't that crazy? That like there's like the actual ground is further down. And then there's the undercity, and then there's the road, and then there's street level up there, and then there's the poor people who live up there, and then above them there's the rich people. So layers and layers and layers and layers. Yeah, this is underneath the road, crazy, right? And in multiple parts of Japantown, we'll get glimpses of these. You don't get to get down there very often. Like, it's hard to find your way down into the undercity. But there's a suggestion that underneath all the roads there's a lot of other stuff. A lot of other buildings. Right, there's like doors. We can't go in there. Like, who even knows what's underneath here? Like, it's possible you go in the door and it goes downstairs. Right, there might be even more stuff underneath. Alright, back to street level again. So the street went up there, and the road went up there. And then down here there's like small buildings underneath the big buildings. Oh, it's so crazy. Japantown's pretty cool. And look at this stuff. Remember how from the outside I said it looked like, oh, it looked like all the buildings lean back and none of the buildings overhang the road. No, they do. Once you get inside Japantown and you're outside the pretty veneer on the outside, on the inside it's the same oppression that you see everywhere else in Night City, right? It's just giant heavy buildings pressing down on top of you. And the poor people live at the bottom, the rich people live at the top. How far does that go? Oh, let me step back. That goes, I can't even see it. It goes all the way up. Extremely cool. Okay, let's keep going. It's a big district. Gonna be here for a long time. Here, this is, what is that, a signage? And you know, it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell the sequencing of all this. Like this overhang here, do you think this was built before the tower above? Did they build this and then the tower above was built on top? Or was this built at the same time? Like, was this part of the same structure? It doesn't look like it's part of the same structure. Because it's a different style, it's different materials, different colors. So it looks like it's a different thing. But then it wouldn't really make sense if the huge tower was added to an existing building, right? It's really hard to tell what's going on with some of this stuff. But there's a car park down there? I don't think this goes anywhere. Let me just check this out real quick. No, I don't think it goes anywhere. And like this. There's like bottom part, and then there's that part, and there's that part. And it's different styles, right? Architecturally, it looks like different pieces, but it wouldn't make sense to be incrementally added. It will only make sense structurally if the whole thing is built at the same time. And like that stuff down there, right? Did that exist before the additional stuff was put on top, or was that built at the same time? We can't tell. We actually can't tell. And that's what I mean when I said earlier that it's very well integrated. Like the buildings below and the buildings above are so well integrated together by this point that you can't really tell where one stops and the other begins. I think these are older buildings down here that existed before the big one, and then they added the big one on top afterwards, I think is what happened. But I'm not sure actually. But the sense I get is that it's so long ago, like this has gone on for such a long time that people kind of forgotten. Or the city has forgotten what it used to be like. Unlike, you know, over in Little China and the Glen, where you can still see what the city used to be like. Here you can't see what the city used to be like. Not really. Alright, we're moving back towards the river, and as we head closer towards Corpo Plaza again, we transition into the more monolithic black metal buildings. And we lose the stuff down below with that. So there you can see there's buildings below and building above. And then once we get to here, that stops. No more buildings below, only individual towers all the way up. So as we get closer to the river, we hide the oppression, right? We hide the buildings squashing other buildings, and we come back to a normal looking city. Look at that. Right, so once we get out into public, oh no, there's no oppression going on. We're not doing bad things to people back there. Like once we get up here, oh, everything's normal again. Look at that. Very, very normal city. Nothing suspicious going on at all. Alright, so on the inside, there's a very, very clear stratification. Right, society is stratified into layers. There's the undercity, there's the lower city, there's the upper city, and you know, everything is very clearly separated, clearly defined. And then you get out here and you're like, nope, we are egalitarian. And nobody's oppressing nobody. Don't you worry about any of that. Very funny and also very Japanese, right? Not necessarily the oppression part, but maybe. But the idea that you hide your true self and you present a public face that is not actually your true self. On the outside, you look very proper. And then on the inside, not so much. Alright, look at that. So over there is the city center again. And then let's cross the road so we can see the outer facade again, right? Now that we've seen the inside, we can look at the outer facade in a different light. Well, look at this. Oh, beautiful sidewalks and these comfortable seats. Oh, look at that. Look at this very normal city. Extremely normal city. No oppression to be seen. Look at that. Very funny. Very, very funny. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not actually like this. Once you get inside Japantown, it's not actually like this at all. And you can get glimpses of it too, look at that. So like, there's a big shiny building there, bright colors. There's a big shiny building there, not so bright, but you know, we've got the glass. And then back there, look at that, squeezed between the two fancy buildings, there's a smaller concrete thing. It's almost like it's being held hostage by the two other ones. Look at that. It's actually quite interesting. There's like a narrower, plain concrete building trapped between the other two. And it looks like it's being held hostage back here. Like it's been pulled back from the street. And it's just kind of plain and boring. And being squeezed between the other two, right? Yeah, they took it hostage. They're doing very interesting things with the architecture in this part of the city. I mean, look at this. Look how bright this is. Bright lights, bright colors, big open spaces. And like, it looks so futuristic and so progressive and so colorful and so optimistic. And then you go to the back and you realize that's not it at all.
What do you want?
Alright, let's go back there. So going back to the northeast, we're winding through the street, right, back and forth. Alright, going back in. Down here on this side, this building sits underneath that road a little bit. Let me come in here just a little bit. Wow, that's very gold. Very East Asian colors. Gold and green and red. They're all auspicious colors in China. Actually, it's wealth, happiness, and longevity. It's the three colors. back here, there's barricades for some reason, and then there's a bit of a market area back here. Tyger Claws. Night City, most brutal. Here, observe. Night City's most brutal gang, come here and observe. Tyger Claws. I think is what that means. So we'll have a bit of a market down here. Maybe the Tyger Claws take protection money from the people down here. And then as we come back here, we see the Undercity again, right? There's the big colourful towers above, and then the poor apartments being squeezed down below. And then at street level we have markets. This is the actual Japantown. Corporate above, Tyger Claws below. And they work together to control the city. Alright, back to street level. Going this way. There's balconies, and whenever you look at balconies, you assume apartments. And there's that back there, who knows what that is. Look at that, everything above here looks fine, if you don't look down there, right? I guess there's three classes of people. Lower class, middle class, upper class. And they're all stacked on top of each other. Alright, so this... what's going on here? Interesting. So those are lower class apartments. For once, there's not a giant tower sitting on top of them. But maybe it's gonna come soon. You see what I mean? Like this is like what's underneath the other big towers. Maybe it's just this part of the city where there's no giant tower on top. I mean, even here, like there's this, and then there's that, and then there's that. Like everything's kind of split into 3 levels. That's a bit strange. There's like a traditional Japanese building sitting on top of the road. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean, it could be a shrine or something that they've kept in place and then built a city around it. Maybe. I mean, shrines usually are on hills. So maybe the shrine used to be on a hill, and then they dug a tunnel underneath it for the cars. I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. We do have small business around here. I mean, the economy looks like it's doing pretty well. There's a lot of shops, a lot of lights, and you don't see a lot of abandoned buildings. So it looks pretty lively. It's just that there's a very clear stratification in the society between the people who live on top and the people who live on bottom, right? That's very bright. Right, and then here, so this is a special area. This is a very special area in the story. One of the major sequences in the game's story is a parade goes through here above the street, so you have floating barges flying through in between those buildings, and a major gameplay sequence takes place here. And to understand this, we really have to get up there, right? So let me get over here. Not much to see down here. Get into this elevator. And we're going up to 19 Market.
Welcome to today's local news on N54.
Oh, look at that!
Consecutive year, Militech has been touted
Oh,
as
crazy!
the city's best
There's buildings above and buildings below. So there's a parade and there's a whole festival atmosphere going on. So during the sequence, this place will be filled with people and there's a lot of shops. It's basically a parade. A parade, except that it's not a parade on the ground where it's supposed to be, you know. But it's a parade up in the mid-levels of the city. Isn't that cool? Look at that. Very cool. Extremely cyberpunk.
Join us today to find a better
Extremely cyberpunk. And then like you look down, oh, and there's more city down there. And there's a whole lot of traditional decorations. It's all Arasaka logos, of course. A lot of like paper lanterns, flags, little like decorative knots. So there's the mix of high-tech and traditional Japanese. So this is very, very cyberpunk. And it's interesting that they only did this in this particular area for this particular story sequence, right? Imagine if the whole game was like this. Imagine if the entirety of the Night City is... You can go up into the mid-levels, and there's a whole separate city there. Like there's a city on the ground, and then there's a city halfway up, and then maybe there's even a city on top. But this is the only part of the game where you can get up to the middle part here and look down as well as look up. Extremely cool. Extremely cool, and what we would want Cyberpunk to be, but it's not, unfortunately. Like the height, right? The sheer height of it. Looking at the architecture though, it's a little strange. It's a lot strange. So there's a whole lot of little things going on. It looks like a lot of buildings have been haphazardly stacked on top of each other. So it looks like a shanty town, but it's not a shanty town because we're halfway up a building. And so I'm not sure how to make sense of this, unless... Like, I guess if you imagine the structure, it's just a structure. Right? Imagine somebody just builds you columns and floors, and then they allow you to fill in the floors however you like. And so a bunch of people came into this floor and built a shantytown here, and they just kind of filled in the space with whatever they want to build. So that's kind of what this looks like. It's not like somebody designed the whole building and built the whole thing as a singular design, but instead they built vertical spaces. They built columns and floors, and then they sold the floors, and then other people can build what they like within the floors. Is what this looks like. Because there's structure there if you look closely. Like up there, there's beams. So there's big beams holding up the next big floor. And then assuming down there, this is a big floor, like the big structural floor. And then in between the two big structural floors, there's like a whole lot of stuff just packed in however people want. So like conceptually you can understand that, but realistically nothing like this exists in the real world, because you wouldn't build like this. This is a crazy way to build any architecture. The idea that you give people vertical spaces and just let them fill in however they like. Because buildings are not... It's not safe to do it like that. You really need to like regulate and carefully design things, right? So it's like if you look down, so there's that floor, and then there's like another floor there. See the big green one? And the stuff above and the stuff below don't quite match, right? So it's like, yeah, you put a floor here and you pretend that's the ground, and you build a lot of small buildings. And you go up a bit, you build another ground, and then a lot of small buildings up there as well. Crazy, extremely cool, but there's no way this thing works outside of science fiction. Yeah, no. I'm trying to think, are there any examples? No, it wouldn't work like that. The reason it wouldn't work is because you design the building structure to hold up whatever it is you want to hold up. If you don't know what you're holding up, then you have to build a lot more extra structure, just in case somebody puts something very heavy there. But then you're not being efficient with how much structure you put in, and it costs a lot more money that way. So it's just not economically efficient to do things, to not know what's going to happen to your building. Right? All multi-story buildings that exist today, you know, like the designer knows what's going on top of the old buildings. Or like, you know, they know what's going on each floor. And they design specifically for that and no more, right? So yeah, so this sort of thing, conceptually extremely cool. But probably impossible in the real world. Let me go back to the other side and look back. But you know what the idea is, right? The idea is like, you know, you have like a messy city, except it's much bigger. But it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms. Because in order to be big, you have to be well organized. And if you're well organized, then you're not a messy city. Look at that. So those like small buildings, and if you found that sitting on the ground, you wouldn't be surprised. But you find that sitting in a giant multi-story block, and that doesn't make any sense, right? Anyway, it's not supposed to make sense, it's just supposed to look really cool, right? I just don't think too hard about it. If you don't think too hard about it, it's extremely cool. And then like you look down and it just goes on and on down below. And you look up, it just goes on and on all the way above. Ah, very cool.
Remember to take
Very cool, but actually impossible. Alright, let's get back down. But I guess like the whole cyberpunk, you know, what is cyberpunk? Cyber is, you know, high tech, and then punk is people hacking their way. Like punk is like lawlessness, right? Punk is breaking rules, and then cyber is high tech. But it's a bit of an oxymoron, because in order to do really high tech stuff, you actually need a lot of smart people to work together in a very coordinated way. Like you need to be very organized to do really high-tech stuff. You can't, you know, you can't improvise a computer. It's not, like you know what I mean? Like any complex machine, in order for it to work, all the parts have to be carefully coordinated, and they have to like work together in a very precise way. Whereas punk is not precise. Punk is the opposite of precise. So in a way, cyberpunk itself is a self-contradictory concept. And so when you talk about cyberpunk architecture, the cyber part is how big it is. The punk part is how messy it is. But architecturally also, it's an oxymoron. But because you can't build big things if you're disorganized. Like in order to build a big thing, you have to be organized, otherwise it just falls apart on you. So it's a contradiction in terms, but I guess that's the appeal of it, right? It's not meant to be real. It's supposed to be, you know, fiction. The kind of fiction that is not actually possible in the real world. But the idea is very cool. Something that's somehow enormous and disorganized at the same time. Alright, and then we leave that behind, and sadly no other part of the city is actually that interesting. That's the most interesting part of the whole city. And you know what? When you play the game, that sequence, that gameplay sequence, they keep telling you need to hurry, and so you don't actually have time to just look around and enjoy the view. So they made that the highlight of the whole game, and then they rush you through it. I don't know if you have to rush through it. Like they keep telling you need to go fast, but maybe there is no actual time limit. Maybe I could have just slowed down anyway. Something funny. Where are we going now? Did I go the wrong way already? No, right. Hold on, let me check the map. I think I'm lost. No, this is exactly right. Okay, here, we're gonna turn that way. Let me run across. Is that right? We go this way? Or did we skip all that? Yeah, no, that's right, okay. So coming through this way, this looks, oh, very corpo, interesting. Alright, so we have a relatively normal city. Although we don't know what's underneath these buildings, right? Hold on, let me just check. Is there more city underneath the city here, or no? There probably is, it's just underneath this. Because there's stairs, right? There's a traditional roof down there. Not sure what's going on there. It's a noodle shop. There's a logo there. Don't know if it actually is an old building or just a building that looks old. What's going on? That car. Alright, you know what? Let's walk this way. Hey, look at those bridges. Crazy. Okay, so the next major landmark in Japantown, there's a giant statue. Look at that, very cool. There's a giant Buddha statue. I think it's a Buddha statue. He's got 4 arms. Some sort of futuristic cybernetic reinterpretation of Buddhism. Big statue in the middle of the city. There is a mega tower there. The Japantown mega building is there. And down there is the cherry blossom market. Let's get down there. We can't see too much of it from up here. Let me look out the window here. Oh, you can see a little bit there. Look at that. Some old buildings, some pink leaves, and a very big statue in the middle of the city, surrounded by skyscrapers. Extremely cool, very cyberpunk. This curious mix of futurism and tradition.
If you suspect any rogue AI activity, call the NetWatch hotline immediately.
Alright, down the elevator. And I guess we are going into the Undercity again, right? Let me just check. Yeah, we're going down below street level. Look at that. There's like smaller buildings down here, straddled by larger buildings above. So Cherry Blossom Market is a bit of a tourist destination. And I think like this is one of the few areas where the the upper city and the lower city kind of cross over. Right? Like, because this is a tourist destination, it's like, you know, where rich people and tourists come to see how the poor people live. It's that kind of tourism. It's like you go to Brazil and you visit one of the favelas and you see how people live in slums in Brazil. Or like, yeah, like you go to a place and you go visit the poor part of town to see how people. But it's not really, because that's the tourist part of the poor part of town, and so it's not really the poor part of town. Anyway, let's go down. We have some vaguely traditional looking buildings, but these might be modern traditional buildings. Because these are concrete foundations, aren't they? Is it actual stone or is it concrete? I think it's concrete. And the timber looks kind of new. Oh, there's bolts. Oh, there's bolts! It's not real Japanese carpentry. There's bolts. You lie. It's all a lie. Alright, so these are not actual traditional Japanese buildings. I can't believe they use bolts. Anyway. There's the big ass statue. The game never really talks about, well, it does a little bit. Doesn't explain the religion. I guess they shouldn't, because they might get into a lot of trouble if they talk too much about religion in the game. Given how disrespectful the game is towards everything. Right, continuing down. So this is the cherry blossom market down here. So we're really, like, we're below street level, right? And you think, oh, are we underground? I don't think we're underground. I think this was the original ground level. Or maybe this was even above the original ground level. It's just that the city has kept building up. And so now this has become underground for that. Cherry Blossom Market. Sakurahana Makento. Not as big as a real market would be if you really think about it. There's not that many shops. Oh, and like this goes underground still? Alright, you kind of get the impression that the city keeps going down. Anyway, that's the market. It's not that impressive. Real markets... Yeah, it doesn't feel like a real market. It feels too small. And it just doesn't have that, doesn't have that character, right? You know what I mean? Have you been to like a real historic market before? It's more lively. And because all the shops are trying to get you to buy things, it feels like they're making an effort for you. If that makes sense. If you go to a market, like, it feels like they're really trying to get you to buy things. Whereas here, everybody's just standing around and being bored. So everybody here sucks at selling things. Look at him, he's like, he's just drinking on the shop, he doesn't even care. Yeah, that's not how real markets work, man. Real markets, people hustle. Where's your hustle? Are you gonna sell me these noodles, or no, you're just gonna stand there? Yeah, no, this doesn't feel like a real market. A real market is engaging, you know what I mean? Like, they're really trying to get you to spend money, so they look you in the eye and they say, welcome, why don't you try these noodles? You know what I mean? These guys, they just don't have it. They just don't have that spirit. Alright, Cherry Blossom Market. Not as cool as a real market, unfortunately. But the idea of it is that, right, the Undercity is down here. And here's the part of the Undercity that tourists will come in, check out the market. And this is where the two parts of the city cross over, right?
You wish to become a
Right next to Cherry Blossom Market, we have Jig Jig Street in English,
seize your destiny.
not in Japanese. Jig Jig Street is the red light district. There's gonna be strip clubs and prostitutes and whatnot. Should we go for a loop? I think they might have transplanted this because this, if you think about it, it looks a lot like Kabuki. Remember Kabuki, the slum by the river? And remember how, you know, Kabuki theater traditionally would be in the red light districts of cities where the poor people are because Kabuki is like poor people theater. So maybe they thought this would be in Kabuki, but for gameplay reasons they moved it here. Maybe. But yeah, this looks like a piece of Kabuki that's been transplanted to here. And really, it doesn't fit. This doesn't fit in Japantown at all. Because if you think about the rest of Japantown, like there's big corporate towers, and then there's like packed apartments, and everything. But everything is very like organized. This is a lot messier. So the style of this is incongruent. But I don't know, maybe this is just an older part of the city that people have decided to keep around. That's also possible. Maybe Japantown used to be like this until the corporals took over and just built over everything else. Except for the sex part. Because they want to keep the sex part around, right? Sex shops. But I mean, there's also this stuff. I don't know what that stuff is.
Hey, you looking for some company tonight?
No.
Well, you found it, baby.
No. So... I mean, look, how do prostitutes work, right? You do have to go back with them to their room to do business with them, right? So I guess these are the rooms. These don't look like organized brothels. Maybe there are not organized brothels here. Or if there are, they're not labeled, that's for sure. I don't know, maybe these are brothels. Or they could be just individual prostitutes working, like maybe they're self-employed. And they live here, and they take the customers back home to conduct business, possibly. Because these look like residential buildings. But who would live here, right? Except prostitutes. And also the mega building is above us as well. Let's keep that in mind. Interesting shapes. Aren't they a bit big though? They seem a little bit large. Alright, let's get out of here. Well, anything else? No, we've seen everything, right? Yeah, we've seen everything. So there's like a little corner of older, more haphazard residential areas that has become a red light district that's been preserved in an otherwise very futuristic city.
What the hell's got you so?
And then let's get back up to street level. Before we go, should we look up? What do we see if we look up? Oh, I see. Right, so there's the Buddha statue. In fact, can we get a better view of the Buddha statue? Let me get on this staircase here.
This is Japantown. This is intelligence.
If we get ourselves up to here, right, markets, the big statue, and then big ass towers behind. Interesting. Very cyberpunk. And then the lower city down there, upper city up there. And the statue straddles between them. Interesting. Very interesting. Like, this is the part where the two levels of the city meet. Okay, let's go up. Up here to... Oh, what are you doing? The mega building is there. There are gates that mark the entrances to the Cherry Blossom Market down below. The mega building itself is unremarkable, but I guess it's close enough to the market that the market is part of
Don't make
the economy of the mega building. I just realized I'm not even halfway through and we've been here for an hour already. It's gonna be a long video, you guys. What can we say about Mega Building H8? Not too much. Get up here, it's about the same as every other mega building, right? Yep, same stuff. So, this part gets a little bit complicated. Let me figure out where I'm going. I believe I'm going this way? Right, back down towards the river. So over there is Little China, over there is Corporal Plaza. If you remember where we are. Down here there's a bit of a park. Oh, I guess a pedestrian plaza. Again, I suppose this serves the mega building. So there's a bit of a public open space in front of the mega building. Not that it's very high quality or anything. Why are there? Oh, I remember those. That's a brothel. So there's like circular shapes that stick out. I mean, the circular shape itself is very suggestive. And then inside, you can kind of see it. There's a woman in there wriggling around. So that's a brothel, right? Okay, let's keep going around this way. Back out to the waterfront. And looking back, oh, look at that. Bright, shiny buildings, very colorful. Who would imagine that there's a red light district underneath this? A dirty red light district. So down here, like the road kind of goes into underneath the buildings. Right, like back there, the roads go up. Here, the roads go down bottom. So there's multiple layers to the city, and like there's all these smaller buildings squished underneath bigger buildings. It's all very complicated. And these, a lot of these go back into the Cherry Blossom Market as well. Cherry Blossom Market is behind these buildings back here.
With the Kangtao G58 to get a smart rifle, your enemies will have nowhere left to hide.
If you come down here, underneath this big road. So again, we find ourselves in the Undercity again. Right, we have buildings under the road. And these are apartments, I believe. Well, it says hotels. Could be more brothels. What are these things? Squished underneath the road. There's residential buildings. Tyger Claws gang tag. Hotels. Yeah, no, these are all brothels, I think. And then back out there, there's the Cherry Blossom Market. So the Undercity is never really that far away, right? It's just underneath your feet. And you don't realize it's there until you're there. Okay, we're going this way. And then we're cutting through here. The roads really are a bit confusing in this area. Let me just check the buildings above. Alright, I see. Okay, we're going through here. There's like roads underneath buildings. What is this place? A pedestrian plaza? So as we get over to the northwestern side of the city, things are a bit cleaner, right? And the difference seems less extreme. Like this seems more like middle class, right? Whereas on the other side there was like rich people sitting on top of poor people. This part looks more just average, to be honest. Let me just walk around a bit, double check. Actually, I want to go to the next street before I turn in. There's a street level here, and then there's like small buildings up there. Oh, this is very confusing. Alright, not here. And then we get to here, look at this. Very futuristic, isn't it? There's all sorts of round shapes. Round shapes. What does this feel like? This feels like 80s futurism, right? Interesting we don't see more of this in the other parts of the city. But this is more optimistic, right? Unlike the very dark, sharp, black metal megacorp architecture, this colorful, round, more playful stuff is more optimistic. It's more of the hopeful future part of Cyberpunk, as opposed to the dystopian future, right? And in fact, this place looks kind of optimistic. Look at that. Colorful. Right, you see what I mean? A lot of colors, a lot of bright colors. And the shapes are less threatening.
If you are looking for a taste of paradise, don't wait a microsecond.
I guess this is the nicer part of town.
In the dead of space.
I mean, a lot of strip clubs. I don't know if you can recognize these logos. Like, you know, that. The lips. So this might be the party district, right? Alright, moving on. Oh, and here we do have roads above the road, but notice how this is much higher up, and so it doesn't block the light as much. So even though there's a lot of layering here, and we can barely see the sky, this doesn't feel as oppressive as if the road were closer down. So the distance makes a lot of difference to how this feels. Like, it's still the same layered city, but it feels more open. It feels less oppressive than, say, in downtown or in the Glen. And the bright colors help a lot. Right, isn't that interesting? Like, you change the colors, you change the proportions a bit, you put more lights in, and the whole city feels a lot more optimistic, right?
Your only worry is getting stuck in traffic.
Very interesting. Alright, running our way up here, and then we're heading towards Charter Hill again. And very quickly the character changes, look at that. Back into the black metal. Back into much more corporate, much less playful. Fewer colors. Isn't it interesting how the city, the character of the city changes from street to street? Okay, I'm gonna turn this way. And as we continue heading north, we get towards the back of Japantown. And things start to disintegrate a little bit. It becomes less pedestrian friendly. So the next street, look at that, things are further apart, more vertical, it's more open, less stuff on top of you. But also like no more shops on the streets, so less reasons for pedestrians to come back here. These look like just office towers. As we come down here though, look at that. We have the towers above, and then the tenements below. Is it the same on the other side? Less so on the other side. Becoming yellow. You look around, there's no shops on the street level. I'll come down here. So as we come down under the streets, it keeps going down. The city keeps going down. Oh, and down here it's a different city, look at that. We go down one level and now we're in the poor part of town. Underneath the rich part of town. And here's where poor people live. And then if we continue going down, it just keeps going down, and then there's a pile of rubbish, and there's the ground, right? There's the actual ground level down there. And then the poor part of town, and then the rich part of town beyond. Is that cool? Very cool. Oh, get back in. Look at that. Night City. Japantown. City on top of a city. I mean, this verticality is very cool. I'm glad they did this, right? I'm glad they put this in the game. Because it's so interesting. The idea that you have a city on top of a city. It doesn't happen that often in the real world. I've said this before, right? Like, just building a house on the ground is much easier than building a multi-story building. And so you would only build a multi-story building if the land, like if there's so many people and the land is so expensive, then it makes sense to put in the extra work and the extra money to go vertical. And so you don't actually have this happen very often. What happens in the real world is you have rich people with the towers and then the poor people will just have slums. And it will spread horizontally, right? If you remember, like in the second video, we looked at like a panorama of the actual Tokyo. You have some towers, and then there's just a lot of sprawl, a lot of medium-rise buildings going all the way to the horizon. So in the real world, cities generally spread horizontally, and they go wide. Whereas here in Night City, they've gone tall, right? They have the old city, and then they build on top of the old city, and then they build on top of that, and it keeps going up. And so they went up instead of going sideways. So that's conceptually very interesting, but not very realistic. And not very practical. But a very cool idea, and I'm glad they explore the idea in the game like this. Because you would never see this in the real world. You would only see this in the video game, right? Chiaraban. Caravan Ramen. Not much else to say. There's like a mix of old buildings and new buildings here. We are getting towards the northern edge of the city. And so as you get to... Oh, I got run over. As you get to the edge of the city, I guess the pressure to go up is less severe. I mean, this is very interesting. Look at that. There's like an old building squeezed between two newer buildings. Very interesting. And like, why don't they demolish that? Why don't they just build a big thing there as well? Who knows? Who knows? It's cool though, right? It's cool to see like a heterogeneous city, where the city, like, there's a lot of different things going on. There's rich people, there's poor people. There's big buildings, there's small buildings, and it's all jammed together. Over there is north side. As we said, we're at the northern edge of Japantown. And then out on this boundary, let me walk to the other side. We have some smaller apartments at the very edge of the district. And of course back there's the big towers. Look at that. I mean, they look like they belong in different cities, right? But they just squeeze everything together and juxtapose different types of buildings right next to each other. Enormous road out there, what is that? Apartments. Coming out here, more apartments. I guess as we get further away from the city center, the real estate prices are cheaper. And so you have cheaper apartments further out, maybe. As we get over here, there's a huge interchange here. And so this becomes unfriendly to pedestrians. I've said earlier how, like a big highway, a big freeway, it provides vehicle access into the city, but it also cuts off. Right? It becomes a barrier. And here we can see some of this in action. Let me get further ahead so we can look at it more closely. So there's buildings over there, right? And then we cross the road here. There's buildings behind there. There's apartments going up behind there on the other side of the freeway. And then there's bridges, there's really tall pedestrian bridges connecting those apartments back to Japantown. So Japantown is completely packed, and I guess they figure, well, we might as well build more housing. Well, there's no more land for housing, so we're gonna build new housing on the other side of the freeway. Except that it's separated now, right? It's a different part of the city now. It becomes like a separate suburb, and you don't know, it's no longer part of Japantown. So that's what I mean, right? When you put a giant road here, it cuts these two parts into two different places. And yeah, you can put a giant pedestrian bridge over there, but it's not the same, right? Like, nobody would think of that as being part of Japantown. That would be like a different thing outside Japantown. So Japantown is constrained by this road. Like this road prevents Japantown from ever expanding further this way. So the road, it provides access, but it also cuts off the city from other pieces of land. So yeah, no, like big freeways like this, it's a double-edged sword. You gain some, you lose some. And how would you avoid that? You would need a lot of bridges. You might bury the whole road underground so that the city above is continuous. You might just have a lot of bridges, but it never really works. As long as the road is there, it's gonna be a barrier in your city. What's going on here? So we're in the back of the city, we have some of these old buildings underneath the bigger ones, right? What is this, a car park? Alright. A car park, I'm not sure about this though, it's on the edge of the city. Where would you go? Where would you go after parking your car?
Mr. Stud, all night, every night. Don't be soft. Upgrade now.
Alright, we're almost at the end of the tour. There's one more thing. Let me just run past here. There's some shops down here. I guess people live up there, so... Running back this way. And then across here at the northeastern edge of the city. We have the Fourth Wall Studios, I believe. Hold on, let's check the signage. The sign says Fourth Wall. Okay, so this is the Fourth Wall Studios. There's a movie studio here. Look at that. I'm not sure about this. So this looks like something from Hollywood, right? If you go to Hollywood, you go to the film studios, it looks like this. There are film sets, or there's spaces for film sets inside each of these big hangar buildings. And this really looks like a transplant of a movie studio. I'm not sure if this makes sense so close to Night City though, because movie studios don't need to be close to the city center, right? They could be anywhere. And the real estate prices, I would assume, is quite expensive here, so close to the city. But I mean, it's a video game, so they're trying to pack everything into a small space. And they wanted a film studio as well, so they packed it into the small space. So I think they just wanted a movie studio in the city. And they didn't care too much about whether it made sense for there to be a movie studio so close to the city. We can go inside one of these. So this is a story location as well. In one of the story quests in the game, you are involved in one of these productions. So you set up a movie set, right? And you have like cameras there doing some filming. There's a cross. And it's all inside a big shed, so you can control lighting, you can control the weather. It's a film studio. It's basically a series of big sheds.
Second I get the Yetis, I swear.
Alright, let's get back out.
No. You're gonna give it to me.
And that's Japantown. It's a big district, there's a lot of stuff going on. What can we say? So to summarize, like from the outside, from the other side, you look at Japantown, it looks bright, it looks shiny, it looks prosperous, and it looks like everything is great. But when you get inside Japantown, you go into the back, you go down underneath the streets, you realize that like all these shiny towers are literally sitting on top of a lot of poor people. So like under the city, there's another city where all the poor people are, and like they're just being crushed by all the rich people above. Interesting and very cool metaphor. Like people are literally being crushed by the system. And like all the rich people are being carried by the poor people who do all the work down below. Right? City on top of another city. And that's Japantown. Very, very interesting. Alright, so I'm gonna end this video here. Oh, he's dead. In the next video, we're gonna come out through here, and we're gonna leave the city and go out into the hills, into the district of North Oak. Alright, I'm gonna see you next time.